It's time to accelerate. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Paul. Join me as I host conversations with the leading experts in sales, marketing, sales automation, sales process, leadership, management, training, coaching, any resource that I believe to help you accelerate the growth of your sales, your business, and most importantly, you.
Hello, and welcome to Accelerate. This is another edition of Frontline Friday with my very special guest, Bridget Gleason. Bridget, how are you today?
Andy, I'm doing great.
Are you?
How are you? Yes.
You are.
It's Friday, as it always is when we talk. It's right. Friday, and ready for a Friday.
So Friday, just the gateway to working on the weekend?
No, hopefully not. No, we'll try to not work on the weekend. There will be some that needs to be done, but...
So what are your big plans for this?
It's good to have... Well, I'm flying to Tel Aviv tomorrow, actually. So my plans are to be on a flight. The flight doesn't leave until the evening, so I'll have a bit of time to decompress and do some things, which I always look forward to. Getting outside. I'm in Boston, and unfortunately, tomorrow it's supposed to be 18 degrees, so it's a bit chilly. And then I go to Tel Aviv, and I think it's 70-something.
Nice. Well, it's just like going back to California.
Yeah. So that's what I got going on.
All right. Well, good. Well, as you're sitting there luxuriating in your big first-class seat, flying over to Tel Aviv.
Oh, I know. That's what they do in startups. They like to spend the money on airline tickets.
Exactly. Yeah. Those big fancy seats, yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, at least you have the benefit of not being an extremely tall person.
That's right. Let's look at the pluses.
So today, let's talk about hiring, because you are on the front lines. You are hiring a sales team from scratch for this company. So, what do you want to give a plug first about, in case somebody's listening and wants to apply?
In Boston? Yes, I'd love to give a plug. So just some background is we have a sales team right now in Tel Aviv who's been doing the sales for the greater world, whether it's Europe, Australia, United States, everywhere. This company's based out of Tel Aviv. Mm-hmm. So now we're opening up the U.S. office and the U.S. having a U.S. presence. And, it's really interesting when you're thinking about hiring the first sales reps in a geography, and particularly when this is an international expansion. And what a lot of when we're interviewing and hiring, what we're thinking about is not only can this person do the job, but we talk about it a lot whenever we hire, but this notion of being a good cultural fit. And it's 10x as important at this stage when these are the first hires. This is Logs.io in the United States. Mm-hmm. It has to be such a good fit. So I just find that this core group, this foundational group, is who I'm really building the U.S. presence on. They've got to have a lot of headroom to grow. These are the ones that I want to be able to promote first. These are the ones that I want to be able to take on management roles. So I'm looking for people that can do this job plus.
Okay.
And I always sort of look for that.
Sure. What is this job, though? So are you looking to SDRs, AEs?
So this is an account executives.
Okay.
And Logs.io, it's a log management and analytics platform. So it's a very technical sale. It's selling to developers. It's selling to IT departments. It's selling to engineering departments. It's selling to security departments. Mm-hmm. So it's very technical. And I don't want to say it's purely an inside role, but we do a large part of it on the inside. There is some on site, but this is not like like out in the field handling Fortune 500 companies. Our sweet spot is more kind of the mid-level, right now. And so we're looking people that have good, like have sold into IT before, understand a technical buyer, have an aptitude and interest in technology, and just kind of enjoy it's not transactional, and it does require a lot of herding cats in a way around getting engineers sort of grouping and understanding and wanting to use a particular log management platform.
Got it. Okay, so at the end of this episode, we'll give people the ability to learn where they can contact you if they have that skill set and they're based in the Boston area.
Perfect.
So
Great.
how other than advertising on this show, how are you recruiting? So you're LinkedIn, using job boards, recruiters. I mean, how's that unfolding?
Yeah. So fortunately, we are using LinkedIn. We've got in-house recruiters that we're using. We use some outside, but pretty limited. And what's been our best sort of source for this has been one of our investors, OpenView. This is something that they offer. So they do the sourcing, they do the first interviews, they have a great network here in Boston, and we're getting really great candidates. We're getting great candidates from them.
So what does a great candidate look like on paper?
A little bit of what I mentioned, somebody that's sold into IT before, has familiarity with the space,
I guess I was thinking more, maybe in this case, more intangibles. You know, what when you're looking at a resume, I mean, yeah, you got the experience and so on, but as an experienced recruiter, experienced hiring manager, what are those things you're really looking for, let's say, on your first impression on this resume that maybe, people aren't really thinking about that are important?
Some of the intangibles, it's hard to get from a resume.
But I'm saying, the things, though, that you look at a resume that maybe it just aren't purely about, like I knew one person, hey, if everything wasn't lined up perfectly and formatted properly, just threw it away. I mean, what are the sort of things you have similar to that to just say, this person maybe has that attention to detail or something else that we're looking for in addition to what's obvious in their experience?
Yeah, I look for leadership. So I look for signs on the resume of leadership. Have they been like team lead? Mm-hmm. Oftentimes I'll see people that have moved to team lead, or they've progressed quickly in a particular company. They seem to get tapped on the shoulder to go move up and do something different. I definitely pay attention to, I was an English major, so I do pay attention to grammar, and I pay attention to just even looking at a resume. Mm-hmm. I always like to see a picture, not because I necessarily care what the person looks like, but that tells me something a little bit about how they sell and how they think about it. That even when you're doing it online, mm-hmm. having a picture really helps create that greater connection. What else do I look for?
So, I mean, that's saying instincts, right? That the instincts are correct.
Yeah. Well,
And I think the thing with the leadership is somewhat the same way. As I think, some people may feel perhaps too modest, perhaps to list some things that, hey, this wasn't a formal job I held. It's just that I was the team lead. But it's important that they put that out there.
Super important. I mean, I look at that a lot, Andy. It's super, super important.
Yeah, but listen, people, don't be overly modest.
That's right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, don't falsify, obviously, but if you had, you were serving as a team lead or something, put it on there.
Absolutely put it on.
Watch your grammar, watch the formatting. Include a picture, which I think is great.
Yeah, what else would I say that I look? I look at schools. Most of the people that I'm looking at, particularly for right now, are, less than 5, like in these 2 to 5 years experience for right now. Mm-hmm. And I look at the schools, not that I rule anybody else out because of a school, but I like to see what their background is and where they're coming from. So what would I say is I'm thinking out loud based on the question.
Do you look at grade point average?
No, that's not usually on there. If they have a high grade point average, that to me just says, okay, that there's maybe a base level that's interesting. It's not is it a strong, it's positive, but it's not you've got to have this in order to get this position at all.
I always found that people who put the grade point average on their resumes, or find the people who put grade point averages on resumes, they do it because they're proud of it. And those that don't, don't want to come up as the first level or the first order of conversation.
Yeah, that's true. And how do you look at it?
Well, a lot of what you talked about, I mean, some of the similar things is, for me, attention to detail is really important on the resume because in a sales position, it's attention, it's a detail-oriented job.
Yeah.
And to me, it just talks about basic instincts, as you talked about with the picture, is that if someone thinks, hey, this is good enough to send out, yeah, there may be errors, but I couldn't be bothered to spend enough time to make sure that I corrected the errors, then to me, that says something about somebody. Do I want that person representing me out in the field and they have sort of a casual relationship with detail?
Right. And they need to have good attention to detail. They need to have good attention to detail. I look for also if it's, like I said, some of them 2 to 5 years experience. What did they do while they were in school? Like, were they working? Did they have a job? Are they hustling in a way?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I look for signs of ambition. I look for, and a lot of people have to work while they're in school. I was one of them. So again, it's not any one of these things, but I'm just trying to get a good feel for who they are. And I know in this particular environment, it's probably pretty consistent with any person who I hire, regardless of where I am, what company I'm working with. It's just looking for somebody that's got that ambition and that hustle and that self-determination and self-directedness and curiosity. Are they doing different things and interesting things? And somebody that's leadership. I look for leadership. I look for being a team player. Like, did they play on sports teams, or were they part of were they acting and part of a group that? So I look for those intangibles also.
Okay, so let's shift over then into the interview itself. So that again, you said culture is really important. You've got these first few hires. These are people you want to have basically build the team on, people you're standing on their shoulders, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so when you've had a good interview, what has stood out about the individual? Obviously we've already talked about the resume, but there's preparation, there's personal appearance. It's how they conducted the interview. What are the things that you really walk away from thinking, okay, yeah, they did a great job in these dimensions?
Okay, so Andy, I've hired some people recently, and there was a group of the new people, 4 of them, in fact, were here at the office yesterday, and they were laughing, poking fun at the interview process that we went through here, and how it was, that was great, but I'd like you to meet just one more person. Okay, that went well. How about a panel interview with 4 people you don't know? I mean, like, I've got to get the process more refined. It's not yet. But there are different things that I learn and look for at the different pieces of the interview that I ask them to participate in. For example, there's one just sort of a phone screen. Then there's a presentation, like at mock discovery call we have them do.
Mm-hmm.
I have them, our CEO right now likes to meet everybody. So sometimes I'm in those if he's here. Sometimes I'm not. So I look for feedback. So
now, two things. So those meetings with the CEO, are those always, if he's not there, then he does them virtually, or are they always in person?
If he's not there, he does them virtually.
Okay. So
like a Skype call. I mean, but it's you get so much more when when you've got that other dimension of them, even on a Skype call, that you can see them.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Sense. So the things I look for, I'm going to talk about the three different types of interviews. So the one, just the initial screening call, I listen for their narrative. When I talk about their background, their previous jobs, what they want, what they've done, what worked, what didn't, why they are moving on, I listen for the story that they tell. Because all we've got really, Andy, are the stories we tell ourselves. And so I want to hear, how do they think about their own life? And is this a person that takes responsibility in this narrative around, or are they a victim?
Mm-hmm.
So I listen to that. That's a big one for me. How do they tell the story? Then when they do a presentation, I look for a couple things. How prepared are they? Did they listen to what I said in the instructions? Are they listening? And are they able to translate what they hear into action? Are they able to, how do they handle topics that they don't know? They don't know the product and I'm asking them to pitch it. Super uncomfortable. How do they handle things that they don't know? How do they handle being in uncomfortable situations? So that's more like, okay, you're in an uncomfortable situation. How do you handle that? And then the third, like, let's say it's just all right, you've done those two. I meet you in person. I look for presence. I look for, how do they conduct themselves? Is this somebody that you want to be with, that you want to work with, that has that emotional IQ? How are they going to connect with other team members? How are they going to connect with prospects and customers? So I kind of look for different things at each one.
Okay. So, and presence is an interesting word because it's hard to pin it down what it really means, right? It means different things to different people. So you talked about leadership early on. So do you try to get a sense, as part of that presence, sort of this leadership presence?
Yeah, and the two are different, but perhaps correlated. So just having presence, there are certain people that you meet that are just comfortable in their own skin. And they're also, so that's one. And also when they talk, you listen. Mm-hmm. And people tend to follow more people that are like that. So I think the two are definitely correlated. If somebody has presence, they are more likely to move into a leadership role more easily than if they don't. Sometimes people move into leadership roles for various other reasons, but having presence makes that move. People will follow you more easily and more quickly, and that's also really important.
Well, I think one of the things you brought up about someone being comfortable in their own skin, which first of all becomes easier oftentimes as you get older, and is harder, earlier in your career, at least, based on my experience and experience of other people I know. So yeah, if you have somebody that has sort of learned the lessons sort of relatively early in their career that, the world doesn't rise or fall based on what happens in this interview, and they get their nerves under control, and the level of conversation is just completely different. The interchange between you and the candidate, if, as you said, they just seem very comfortable in who they are. And to me, that's a great sign of leadership potential. Definitely.
And there was a a guy who we hired, who's actually starting tomorrow, and has had a really interesting career. Was in the Army, and then he was a personal trainer, and then he went and took the leap from a personal trainer to selling a very technical product, and then had another job before that, and is now coming on to logs.io. A lot of people would get sort of ruffled and defensive about, this guy's not on a traditional path to selling to developers. And our CEO was out and met him, and I was in this interaction as well, this interview. And this young man, just comfortable in his own skin, and he handled it. He just wasn't defensive, this is just his path. And as a result, it was a really interesting conversation. It was an enjoyable conversation. It was, I mean, he got the job. Mm-hmm. And it was a very non-traditional. You look at him on paper and you would think, not sure. But part of what you also saw on paper is, wow, here's a guy, when given this challenge to learn something new or do something, not only does he do it, but he excels at it. Mm-hmm. And very, very comfortable in his own skin. Has a lot of presence.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, again, in my career and my experience, working with military veterans, not unusual that, very adaptable, great team players. I will say that two of the best bosses I ever had were military veterans that, had been taught, they both had gone to one of the service academies. They'd been taught how to manage people better than, I said, any other bosses I'd ever worked for.
Well, and you think about our culture of this company, Logs.io, being an Israeli company, military service is compulsory. Mm-hmm. So not everybody in the Tel Aviv office, because there are some people who are not Israeli, but 90%, maybe 95%, have been in the military. Mm-hmm. So again, that's a good fit, and the fit, you just see it in the discipline. In that you're telling me to do this, all right, I can ask questions, but then I just go do it. There's a discipline, there's a rigor, there's a routine for me, it's a good fit. I wasn't in the military, maybe I should have been, but I've got that. I can be very regimented. And it's a good fit for the company and just culturally who we are.
Right. Very cool. All right. Well, so now we're at the end of the show. Tell people that might be interested, might be candidates for this job, how they can get in touch with you. Oh
my gosh. I will so welcome any candidates. It's super easy. Just send me. You can always get me on LinkedIn, Bridget Gleason. It's that simple. Or you can send me an email, Bridget@logs.io. So LOGZ.io.
Got it.
And I'd love any and all. I'd love to talk to people. It's a great, it's really a special company and a great opportunity. I couldn't be happier being here.
And you get the potential of working with Bridget.
I know. Whether that's a plus or a minus, you decide.
I'm sure everybody would think it's a plus. So, all right. Well, Bridget, as always, thanks for being here.
And as always, it's a pleasure. And have a great Friday and weekend.
Yeah, and same to you, your friends who have listened to us here today. Come back and join us again next time. Frontline Fridays with Bridget and Andy, and we'll talk to you then.
Super. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you like what you heard and want to make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.com. For more information about today's guest, visit my website at andypaul.com.